Hey folks, Reloading Bench back with you once again. I think this will be the final video on the mechanical case feeder. I worked with the designer on the last video, or rather after the last video, on some changes in terms of maybe lengthening this, doing some chamfering in here, some slight changes in here. He added some screws for further stability, so as well as some mounting flexibility. So now if you watch this, here is the down station and I'm priming. This isn't even moving. I move my bins out of the way a little bit. Not even moving. I'm also able now to move this as far forward as I needed to fully seat a piece of brass without any wiggle room whatsoever, and I'll show you. But these perfectly align now so that bullet drop is consistent without me having to tap the handle. There's absolutely no movement or grinding or touching or anything as in some of my previous attempts. So I'll load up some brass. I've taken some dies out, or rather all the dies out. I'll load up some brass so you can see it cycle. I've also kind of prime these tubes with, I won't say dirty brass, but trying to get them used to brass so that it's not a brand new piece of plastic dealing with static issues. So everything works flawlessly now. I would say that this is at a perfect design state for what I need. No need for the boot based on all the bracing and how this is mounted and how it currently functions. So I'll come back, I'll load up some brass, and we'll see what that looks like. Got about 5 pieces of brass in each tube. This is still a trusty friend for tapping these down when they don't go all the way. And I don't know if that's because the plastic Titan, this little white piece of separator I have up top, or not. And I've also found that I leave this off when I'm reloading. I only put this on, or the other one, when I'm filling the tubes, because there's no reason to have this weight shaking up top. But here's what it looks like. And Murphy's Law says that these will not want to drop consistently. And I think there's actually one more. So that is the most challenging thing I have to deal with right now, is that the brass not dropping simply because the tubes being too either new, staticky, tight, you name it. But you'll notice that this has a perfect seat right against the back of the shell plate. But in terms of cycling, everything is quite smooth. And let's see if I can get a smooth last run. So if we're doing what it's supposed to do, case feeding, I am completely satisfied with how it now functions. No tapping, no nothing. My biggest demon now is the feeding tubes, which will, I believe, loosen up over time as they get a little grimy. So that is it. What I'll probably do is later on tie this into another video where I've got all of the dies in and I'm actually reloading as I did before for the end of this series. Let's try this for a final. We've got extra casings, bullets, in case things don't go as planned on the inline fab arm. Ready to go with an empty catch-all bin. We've got primer. We've got 4 tubes full of brass. I have no doubt I'll be needing this. primer, powder, bullets in the tube, and let's see what happens. I've already tested my charge weight. And there's our first. I don't know what the solution to that is going to be other than working this brass through these tubes. I was thinking about putting a weight, just like I do for the primers, little rod, maybe something to weight it down so that there's something there that will push it. And once the tube of brass gets a little lower, I leave the rod in there so that I can just use it as a tapping mechanism. Again, still a lot better than what I did before, because previously I'm handling everything and now I'm just watching for stuff like, you know, maybe an upside down prime or an upside down piece of brass. And I'll toss in that extra piece that didn't quite make it. So other than babysitting brass, this is working pretty flawlessly. And I'll look in to see if there's another option for wider plastic, like from someplace like a TAPS plastic. That was a clean tube, clean run. So I cannot say enough about the design and functionality of this mechanical case feeder. It truly is beyond cool. Truly beyond cool. So this tube, the plastic tubes, kind of remind me of what used to happen with the bullet feeder, in that until it got kind of lubed from the coatings on the bullet, I would get those stuck occasionally as well. So I'm thinking this just needs volume, and this is why I keep extra supplies, because there are times where things do go wrong. Again, this is probably my best tool for both bullet and brass right now. And I think that's about it. It is jamming like a factory. Almost a well-oiled factory, but from a case feeder perspective that Jeff was responsible for designing and building, I can't say enough about it. The Lee product that sits on top of it, I won't say mixed results, because you know, still trying to figure out what to do to make those casings drop. And I can see right now that I've got a 9mm stuck in there. So this is a good point to stop to say very successful, and I like what it's doing. Good stuff.